Well, I guess I'm ready for this. It's Monday. I gave you a test on the parts of speech on Friday, and a couple things to say. Since I mentioned a test already, let me jump to something else. I'm going to say no to the idea of keeping track of the Latin roots for all these words that we're going to run into as we study grammar and syntax. Not now, because I got thinking about how long this is going to take, and I'm afraid that's going to slow us up too much. When we get to Latin, it can be a kind of a review of grammar. I'll come back to this at that point. So that wasn't wasted time. I just got thinking ahead and I realized, whoa, I'm not going to get through this before Christmas. The other thing too is the test I gave you. I'm not going to give you the answers. I don't think I should have to take that time. You could just go back and look at the video before if you needed to get them. I'd be strict with yourself. For example, for interjections, if you said an interjection is a word that shows feeling, I'd call it wrong, unless you also said "and stands alone," because that's critical. When I correct them, I'm pretty picky about those. But anyway, I want to go on. We're going to go to morphology. This should be page 9.1 rather. And I think the only thing we've got written there is morphology. Maybe in parentheses underneath morphology, I should have said, I should have defined that. Morphology is the study of, you do it yourself, I'm not going to write down. In parentheses underneath it, it's the study of individual words and how they change. Morph has to do with changing, especially how the endings change. But it's looking at individual words, not words that are now being put together into sentences. And there's where I'm going to go through the 8 parts of speech in much more detail. And I'm claiming there, underneath there, you can write down all the average student of foreign language ever needs to know about. I've told you that already. That's what I think I can do with nouns here in about 3 days it'll take me. If you're a student of foreign language, of course you'll have to learn a foreign language, but as far as what our nouns are concerned, well, that's what I think I can do. Well, that's too long. It was Atasaflenka. I underlined the E here because ever stressing that, ever, and then from now on that's just going to be Ada. Whenever I write Ada, I mean all the average person, student of foreign language ever needs to know about whatever the subject is. Over the weekend I was on a website which I don't know if I've mentioned to you yet, usingenglish.com. That's a little intimidating for somebody like me, an American, because it's a British website. And there's a lot more to know about grammar than what I'm going to teach you, but I think I'm teaching you enough so that you can go on to learn French or German and be comfortable with the grammar you know. I don't think you have to know a lot of the stuff that they deal with on the forums on that website. I'll come back to that later on. All right, anyway, nouns, Ada, nouns, here we go. All right, there are various kinds of nouns. Now, a noun is a word that names. That you should already know. But there are various kinds of nouns. And I'm going to do that with all the parts of speech. I'm going to show you that there are various kinds. And so I'm going to create abbreviation, henceforth TAVCO. That's going to stand for there are various kinds of nouns. It's worth an N. I just use N. You're going to see eventually it's almost going to look like math because I'm going to use so many abbreviations as I teach this material. I think I told you I'm going to try to be very complete and yet very concise. All right, if you take nouns and you group them by meaning or by their form, this has nothing to do with what they mean, just by the way they look. Well, then you've got at least these 3 different kinds. You've got what are called simple nouns. A simple noun is not necessarily one syllable. Dog. That's a simple noun. Frank. Now, that's a simple noun. Now notice this is a common noun and this is a proper noun. I'll get to that directly. Education is all. Now education. There's 4 syllables there. That's also a simple noun. That's one kind. Well, contrast that, for example, to a compound noun. Sometimes you've got nouns that have been jammed together. Words come to a certain point and the 2 get stuck together over time, and then they become basically one word. So a doghouse. It's not really a house. What kind of a house? Dog. You could do that if you wanted to and say, oh, okay, dog is an adjective there. But that's not the way it is. It's a doghouse. A dive bomber, I remember looking that one up once because kids brought it in etymology, and a reason that you need to, a dive bomber was something that developed in World War II. Dive at a ship and let the bomb come up. And here was a new word for it. Well, when you look the etymology of a word like doghouse up or dive bomber up, in a dictionary you've got to look up dive, that's got one history, and bomb has got another history, etymology, and then a good dictionary will tell you at what point the two got jammed together and became a compound noun. It's important to know about that. And then there are phrasal nouns. Now a phrasal noun is a noun that's made up out of more than one word. I'll do quite a bit with this word phrase. It becomes pretty important. It's important in syntax too. But fire hydrant, if you look it up in a dictionary, fire and hydrant are going to be given as two separate words, but it will be one entry in the dictionary. Again, it's not a hydrant. What kind of a hydrant? A fire hydrant? No, fire hydrant is regarded as naming something, and it's two words. If you're taking notes, as I'm always hoping that you are, I wouldn't write my name down there. I'd write your own name down there. But Frank Antonsen, those aren't two nouns. That's one noun. It's two words, and it names this person right here. If I had put my middle name, Frank Bradley Antonsen, it would have taken three words, and yet it still only would have been one noun. Well, when that happens, that's called a phrasal noun. I think I'm going to go on with the second video today about grammar. And then in the third one, I'll go to the chronological survey. Oh, and one other thing. I'm sorry about the way I closed that video off when I approached the camera and turned it off. That was a bad job of editing. I slipped up. I'm ready to forgive myself. I hope you'll forgive me too. I'll make mistakes. If that's the worst mistake I make, it'll be a miracle. So hang around. There's going to be, I believe, 2 more videos today.